And while many big brands like Hyundai, Renault and Kia are planning to shut down their factories in South Korea and China owing to the fears of coronavirus's outbreak, what will be its impact on the Chinese economy? Has China's response been effective in containing the outbreak? We spoke to Dr. Edwin Kelly earlier today on more on this.
Yeah, my guess is this will probably knock Chinese GDP down for a couple of quarters. I'm not sure if this will push China into a recession. I mean, China's been growing so fast for so long. That would be remarkable. Again, a lot of it depends on whether or not the CCP can get this thing under control, as it has with outbreaks in the past, right? I mean, there's sort of a lot of paranoia, I think, driven by movies and stuff like that. When these things happen, it's going to be a pandemic and we're going to be worrying about this thing, the apocalypse and stuff like that. That kind of stuff doesn't really happen, right? I mean, we've seen these kinds of things before. My guess is the Chinese will get this under control. You'll see supply chain interruption, but they'll be resumed. This will only really impact China if it becomes a kind of Hollywood scenario, right? With people wandering the streets and it's sort of flooding, flying from one state to another, from one country to another. And so far it's been reasonably well contained. It's sort of not the zombie apocalypse and stuff like that. So I'm a little bit wary about for example, the Commerce Secretary of the United States saying this is good for American industry. It's going to send jobs back to the U.S. Maybe for a month or two. And then when this thing goes away over the summer, no one will be saying that. So I think we all need to sort of be a little bit more cautious about saying that this is going to really shift Chinese investment patterns. That's really unlikely unless this thing is just horrific and spins out of control. I think it'll be pretty limited. Again, we've seen outbreaks like this in the past, and they generally have not sort of exploded into, again, the apocalyptic kind of Hollywood scenarios. I think that we've all sort of watched on TV too many times. Assuming that the Chinese government can control this, it shouldn't really shift patterns too much. It really shouldn't impact China's relations with its neighbors too much. I think what's most interesting about it actually is it's revealing how sensitive the Chinese are to public opinion. It looks like the Chinese are leaning on the countries around them not to impose these travel bans and stuff like that. It's showing China sort of at its most sensitive, particularly the Chinese Communist Party, at its most touchy, right? That sort of, there's all this sort of hype about whether or not Chinese citizens can fly to places and stuff like that. I think that the political outcome of this is more revealing than economic interruptions in the future.
Well, the internet ban has been a huge help in spreading awareness. The internet has been helping in spreading awareness about coronavirus. But just like in most cases, miscreants are never far away. This is a global health emergency, and so it's important to shoot down fake news and rumors that threaten to derail the fight. We start with the outrageous claim made by a website called the City News. It said that China's stop port is going to permit China to kill 20,000 coronavirus patients in a bid to control the outbreak. Needless to say, the claim is bogus. Such a move would basically amount to one of the biggest crimes against humanity and could make China a pariah state forever. For the record, the same website claimed that Nancy Pelosi was going to Iran to defuse tensions last month. This second claim concerns the Tencent epidemic tracker, which we talked about yesterday. Screen grabs showed the death toll to be as high as 24,000. WION reached out to Tencent for clarification. We have confirmation that this was fake. A doctored picture. Tencent told us that they had never released such a figure at all. Will coronavirus make you collapse on the streets? Many popular news websites carried articles that suggested this could be possible. But the World Health Organization has clarified, calling it atypical. It is highly unlikely that people infected with the virus would just collapse from where they're standing. There were also rumors that pets could possibly be infected by the virus, but that also the World Health Organization has denied. There's no such evidence about pets. The idea is to source your information from the right places, avoid circulating information from unreliable websites, and wherever possible, depend on government and WHO advisories. While in sickness and in health, thousands of Chinese couples took marriage vows in a mass wedding amid the coronavirus outbreak in South Korea. Thousands of couples, mostly in face masks, tied the knot in a mass unification church wedding ceremony. The church distributed free masks to the couples and the attendees as a precautionary measure against the deadly virus as well.
우선 이 큰 은혜를 받는 이런 행사에 그리고 이런 합동 결혼식에 참석하게 돼서 일단 너무 기쁘고 그리고 요즘 코로나 바이러스가 많이 유행이라서 그래서 이제 좀 조심하자는 의미에서 마스크를 착용했는데 이 결혼식 행사를 하는 와중에도 계속 마스크를 써야 된다고 생각을 하고.
And according to authorities, proper measures were taken to minimize the chances of any further spread.
이 행사 자체가 문총재님이 돌아가신 성화하신 때부터 7년 전부터 기획됐기 때문에 코로나 바이러스의 어려움이나 여러 가지 안 좋은 상황이 있지만 철저한 방역이나 열 감지기 그리고 마스크도 저희들이 나눠드리고 또 의료재단이 저희 대내 의료재단이 직접 여기 투입돼서 아주 성공적으로 그래도 행사가 진행되었다라고 생각합니다.
South Korea currently has 24 confirmed cases of coronavirus. To prevent further increase, Seoul has banned entry of foreigners from Wuhan, the epicenter of the virus as well.